Okay, let's dive right in. Because if you feel like the cultural soundtrack of your life has been, I don't know, stuck on repeat for the last few years, you are not imagining it.
No, you're definitely not.
Right.
It's everywhere, right? We're talking film, fashion, music. The past seems to be completely recycled and repackaged.
It feels like the past isn't just influencing the present, it is the present. Like we're living in what some observers are calling the most aggressively nostalgic era in history.
And it's more than just a feeling. It's the sheer volume of it is staggering. You look at the movie slates, the radio playlists.
And the question is just screaming out,
Yeah.
what is going on here?
Exactly.
So that's the core question for this deep dive. Why does the past have such a powerful, almost like a controlling hold over our creativity right now?
Right. Why does it feel like we're trapped in this loop?
Yeah, familiarity loop.
And that's our mission today.
Yeah.
We're not just here to talk about, the warm, fuzzy feeling of remembering your childhood.
We're going deeper than that.
We're going into the operating system. We're going to try and decode the psychology, the neuroscience, the cultural code that's driving all of this.
Okay, so let's start with the evidence, because it really is everywhere.
It is.
I mean, look at cinema. We are deep in the era of the endless franchise resurrection. IP from the 80s and 90s is just the safest possible bet.
And in music, it's the same thing. You have entire genres now built on just perfectly recreating old sounds.
Synthwave.
Synthwave is a perfect example. Or even just like specific 90s drum machine patterns that are suddenly back everywhere.
It feels like there's a rhythm to it all, a predictable pattern.
There is. And this is where we can introduce what a lot of cultural analysts call the 20-year nostalgia cycle.
The 20-year cycle. Okay, that sounds really specific. Why 20 years? What's the magic behind that number?
It's all about generations.
Yeah.
It's the amount of time it takes for a kid to experience something in their youth, when it's new and formative.
Right.
And then for that same kid to grow up and reach their peak creative and spending power as a young adult.
So the kids who are 10 years old watching something in, say, 1995, are the 30-year-olds greenlighting the reboot of it today?
That is the mechanism, precisely. What was dominant when you were 10 is just ripe for revival when you're 30.
And we've seen this play out over and over.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 80s aesthetics came back hard in the early 2000s.
Right.
90s grunge and that whole anti-fashion thing returned in the 2010s. We've definitely just lived through the Y2K revival.
And now it's the early 2000s, the low-rise jeans, the glossy pop.
The cycle is perfectly in motion.
Okay, so that explains the when, it explains the timing, but it doesn't really explain the why.
Right.
I mean, why do we as humans just embrace this so readily? Why aren't we demanding something completely new all the time? What is it about the brain that just craves the familiar so much?
And this is the crucial shift, right? We have to go from talking about culture to talking about pure brain science.
The neurology of it.
Exactly. Because nostalgia isn't just an emotion. Researchers see it as a really powerful neurological event. It's efficient.
Okay, walk us through that efficiency. What's happening in our heads?
So what's fascinating is what happens when your brain just recognizes something. A song, a smell, a visual style from your past. It's not just a pleasant thought. It triggers a significant release of dopamine.
The reward chemical. So it's an actual physical reward.
It's an immediate chemical hit that tells your brain something good just happened. The recognition is the reward. Your brain sees it as a low-risk, high-return bit of input.
So wait, are you saying we don't even like the past that much? We just like the feeling of recognizing something?
In a way, yes. That's a really key distinction. The act of successfully retrieving a positive memory is what activates parts of the brain like the medial prefrontal cortex.
And the brain rewards itself for that successful retrieval.
It does. Because familiarity signals safety. Predictability signals comfort. In a world that feels really chaotic, the past is a psychological shortcut to feeling secure.
And that feels like the perfect connection to right now. The last few years have been defined by constant uncertainty.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And the data shows this so clearly. The collective craving for nostalgia, this retreat into what we know,
Yeah.
it spikes dramatically during times of societal stress.
Which we are definitely in. Political instability, economic uncertainty, technology changing everything so fast.
It's a perfect storm. So when the present feels unstable or threatening, nostalgia becomes this kind of psychological shelter.
We turn to the old songs, the old movies.
Because we perceive that time as being simpler or safer, even if it wasn't, really. The market sees that need for certainty and just floods the zone with low-risk, familiar content.
It's basically cultural comfort food,
Yeah.
but that comfort has to come at a cost.
It does.
What happens when our desire for safety actually starts to punish creativity?
And now we're at the dark side of this whole thing, what some call the familiarity trap.
Familiarity trap.
That's the core psychological problem. It's the brain's preference for the known. It pushes us, as consumers, to choose what's familiar.
Even if something new could be way more meaningful or just better.
Exactly. So if you're a creator, the financial incentive is crystal clear.
Right. If I use a sample from a huge hit song or I copy the look of an 80s blockbuster, I get that guaranteed dopamine hit from the audience. It's safer.
So much safer. A studio exec would rather spend $200 million on the 5th sequel to a franchise they know.
Than on 10 smaller, original, risky screenplays.
Precisely. And that's the trap.
Yeah.
That investment in safety is money that is not going toward innovation.
It's the difference between a safe bet and a real breakthrough. We saw this with some of that early retro music, right? Like synthwave. It sounded amazing, but for a while it was almost religiously committed to just sounding exactly like the 80s.
Yeah, it was derivative.
Yeah.
It leads to this feeling that whole genres are just stuck. They're looping. The art isn't bad necessarily, but
It's just familiar. You know the template the second you hear it.
right.
And that's the conflict, isn't it? We say we want something groundbreaking, but neurologically we're kind of afraid to leave the comfort of the past.
That tension is very real. But it doesn't mean we're just doomed to recycle the 2000s forever.
So nostalgia itself isn't the enemy here.
Not at all. I think we need to completely reframe this. Nostalgia is one of the most powerful tools in the entire creative toolkit.
If you use it right.
If you use it right. I mean, think about it. The best artists, the ones who actually push things forward, they don't avoid it.
No, they use it. They understand its power.
They use it as a bridge between memory and imagination.
A bridge. I like that. So they use that comforting foundation to build something new, something maybe a little unstable.
Exactly. And that's the crucial difference. It's repetition versus true transformation.
So how do you define that line? When does using a retro sound just become lazy repetition?
I think it comes down to the twist. The breakthrough artist transforms the past. They give you that dopamine hit of recognition.
Ah, I know this sound.
Yes. And then immediately they use that momentum to surprise you. They take that familiar synth riff or that 90s silhouette.
And they twist it. They pair it with something totally unexpected.
They do. So the job of the innovator isn't to start from a blank slate. It's to be an expert at juxtaposition, at bringing the known and the unknown together in a new way.
The nostalgic part is like the Trojan horse. It gets the idea past your defenses.
That's a perfect way to put it. It tells your brain, you're safe here, you recognize this. And then once you're inside, they deliver the shock of the new.
So it's not about escaping nostalgia. It's about elevating it.
It is.
The real magic is reminding the audience of where they've been, but at the same time, showing them something they have absolutely never seen before.
That's the transformation. And that's what separates timeless art from a derivative product. It's a creative choice that's built on a really deep understanding of how our brains work.
Okay, so if we're going to synthesize all this, nostalgia is a neurological reward, right?
Mhm.
Fueled by dopamine. It becomes a cultural crutch when we're all stressed out.
Which leads to the familiarity trap, where creativity gets stuck because it's just safer and easier to repeat what works.
But the answer isn't to just reject the past.
No, the answer is to be conscious of it. To know you're making a choice. That's how you break free from the trap.
So the next time that rush of comforting familiarity hits you, whether you're watching a movie or even working on an idea yourself, there's a question you should ask yourself.
A provocative thought, right? Just ask.
Is this a memory I'm repeating?
Or is this a foundation I'm building on?
Because in the end, that choice, that's what shapes the future. Keep decoding, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.